Hello, everyone. Happy New Year and welcome to the PR Connections Marathon. My name is Guy Dawson and I am the founder of prconnectionsradio.com, the voice of new media. We are incredibly excited for the opportunity to bring you a plethora of shows that we have over on the network, prconnectionsradio.com. It is a media platform that is designed to represent the new media. This is such an incredible opportunity that we have in the new age to be able to literally touch people all over the world through podcasting. It's something that we are extremely passionate about, and having a marathon to kick off the year, we thought that would be an ideal way to show all of you out there some of the incredible information that is being provided by both the hosts and the guests of the shows on our network. And so for many hours, from 11 a.m. Pacific time until 6 p.m. Pacific time, we're going to be back to back to back displaying the stars of our network. And I think you're going to thoroughly enjoy the opportunity to stay with us throughout the day. You're going to meet some people that you're going to want to be friends with beyond today. And so again, just sit back and enjoy and be a part of our marathon. We appreciate you. And I'm going to bring the host of the first show that is going to air today. And her name is Rachel West. How are you, Rachel?
Hi, Guy. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. How have you been?
I have been doing wonderful.
And what show do you host, Rachel?
I host the Professionals podcast.
And will you tell our audience what you do on the Professionals podcast?
Yeah, I believe that when we take the time to get to know the personal side of the professional, we really get to know and learn that we have a lot more in common than we do different. So my approach is to bring on professionals and kind of step back a little bit behind the scenes, because I feel like when we are looking on social media or any form of media, we see the glitz and the glam. We see the person at their best, their success. What we don't see is the behind the scenes and the journey they are on to get there. And so I like to bring on guests and ask them questions about their journey and things that they have had to overcome to get to where they are today, so that people who are just starting out, or somebody who might be struggling with something in a professional world, they can see that they're not alone and that there's other people out there. And I'm hoping that my guests can help them either get through that or come to realize that there is another side.
You're right, Rachel. I love the authenticity of what you do with the professionals, in that, as you mentioned, being a professional is more thought of in terms of just the doing and the success and you being known for that. But I love the perspective that you have on, hey, it's not all glitz and glam, right? It's there's a lot that goes into being a professional, because we're all like professional human beings first. And that's kind of the vibe that I get when you do this show.
Yes, exactly. Bringing on people who can be authentic, who can be vulnerable, who can share their perspective, share things that they have overcome, and give hope to others, and just really show a different side of professionals. And I think that it helps give people hope.
Absolutely. You've had some really, really interesting guests. And in your day job, what do you do, Rachel?
So I am a professional growth coach. I am the founder and owner of Empowering Growth. I specialize in mindset, mental wellness, and addiction recovery. I work with individuals who have completed a mental health or addiction type program. They are a career-driven professional and they are seeking additional services for their recovery journey. I also work with family members, somebody who has a family member currently that is struggling with mental health or addiction, and they themselves are needing support in navigating through that journey. And I also work with supporters of supporters. They are individuals who support others, such as first responders, military, healthcare workers, teachers, holistic practitioners. I help them to re- help them to remember to take care of themselves, to prevent stress, prevent burnout, so that they can continue to support those that they serve.
Yeah, yeah, you truly have a business that benefits a lot of people, Rachel. And so I'm sure our audience out there is ready to hear more about how you empower people to become greater professionals through your podcast. And I'm going to remove myself and bring your guest in, and you can go ahead and start your show. Have fun.
Thank you. Hi, Crystal. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited that you're here with us today. Tell us a little bit about how you are a professional. What is it that you're doing?
Yes. So I am a life coach and breathwork coach. And so a lot of people are like, oh, breathwork coaching, that's a thing. But I mostly help just high achievers and professionals reconnect with themselves through breathwork, help manage their nervous system, and um, really use the breath to connect with more clarity, more creativity, more productivity, and focus.
And can you give us like a quick 5 minute or so background in your career before uh, clarity coaching and how you got into it?
Yeah. So I was a cocktail waitress here in Vegas for about 15 years. And I was starting to get really burnt out. The money was really good, which is what kept me there for so long. But towards the end, I started to just kind of question, what am I going to do with myself? What am I going to do? And I decided to go the life coaching route. And I went through a coaching program for 9 months. I graduated right before COVID happened. And so at the time when COVID happened, I was trying to figure out when was going to be the end of the cocktailing and then full dive into coaching. Well, when everything shut down, I was like, okay, well, I guess the cocktailing, is coming to an end right there as everything shut down. But it gave me a really great opportunity to dive into bringing myself to the world as a life coach. Shortly after that, I actually found breath work, and that was where my coaching took on a really different spin, and using the breath as a tool to access yourself on a deeper level and to really help reprogram reprogram the subconscious and really start diving into the things that are blocking us from being our highest self.
Mhm. How does that breath work that you do help professionals navigate their life and their career better?
Yeah, so it's really a tool. So the breath is so powerful. And we've all been told when we were little and we were angry, right? Take 10 deep breaths. And it felt like, oh, okay, whatever. Like no one wants to take 10 breaths when we're upset. But it really is the greatest tool to help us regulate our nervous system, right? Most of us are running around, especially professionals. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of overwhelm. There's a lot of burnout. And when we can't control our breath and we're locked in that cycle of stress and fight or flight, we're not thinking clearly, right? We can't be our best self. We can't be our most focused and productive self. And so, what I found through my own practice is that using the breath, to help just release the things that I've been holding on to throughout the day or throughout the years, really helps me be the most present and focused that I can be. And then when we start using it very intentionally to access higher levels of creativity, to access our highest self, and start to really get clear on our vision of what it is that we truly want and what we're here to bring to the world, we can create a greater impact.
Mm, very nice.
Yeah.
What are the benefits of doing breath work?
Well, like I mentioned before, more clarity, more creativity, feeling more present and grounded in your body. And when I think about breath work, it really is just always of getting back in your body, right? Getting out of your head and starting to connect to the body, because our body carries so much wisdom. And if we can tune into those moments where maybe we're breathing really shallow into our chest and we're feeling really stressed out, and knowing that that just perpetuates the cycle. And so then we can start to have more awareness of where we're getting pushed into that fight or flight and pushed into stress and not able to focus and be really clear. And so, the productivity, the focus, the creativity, just feeling more grounded and more like yourself in your body is one of my favorite benefits of it.
That's
There's
so
a
powerful.
laundry list, but those are some of my favorites.
Yeah. Can you tell us what the difference is between breath work and meditation?
Oh, yes. So breathwork is not meditation. Meditation, and okay, let's start with this. Breathwork is really an umbrella term for using different types of conscious breathing patterns. And so I actually feel that breathwork is a really great gateway into meditation. And I hear from clients, from people all the time that they can't meditate. They have a hard time clearing their mind to meditate, and they just don't know how to do it. They don't feel like they're doing it right. And so I love when people tell me this, especially in my classes, because they say this is going to be a great introduction into meditation. Because when we start focusing on our breathing, we breathe deeply into our bellies and we start bringing in more oxygen into our body than we're used to. It does something really cool, and it shuts down our prefrontal cortex. And this is where our overthinking mind is, our inner critic, just that constant negative feedback loop that's constantly going in. Bringing that oxygen, saturating our brain with that oxygen will help shut down that part of our brain. And then in those moments, we can be really connected to our intuition, our subconscious. And when we're in that space, we move into a theta brainwave pattern, which helps us drop into the meditation so easily and effortlessly. And I hear from people all the time that they've never been able to get into that space sitting in meditation. And so I actually feel like the breath is a really great hack to shutting down the brain so that you can drop into meditation. But in the breath work, we're focused on the breathing, right? We're focusing on our breathing. And in meditation, we can focus on our breathing too, but it's more about just silencing ourselves, where the breath is really our helper to help us get there.
Okay. So I know that you do hypno breath work. Does that mean that there are different kinds of breath work out there?
Yeah. So it's like if someone said to you, I teach yoga or I teach fitness, right? There's so many things that fall under that. There's so many different types of yoga. And so there are tons of different types of breath work, right? A lot of people are really familiar with Wim Hof. There's also the hypno breath work that I do is called a conscious connected breathing pattern. And so within that, people have all kind of created their own methodologies and their own techniques. And so hypno breath work is a technique that is used using obviously the breath to clear out stuck energy and emotions from the body. Because when we don't allow the emotions to move through our body, they get locked in. And so the breath is a really powerful tool to help move those things through our body and out of our body. But then it also uses hypnosis or hypnotic cues in the breath work to help us access the subconscious, and reprogram some of the limiting beliefs, the thoughts and things that we have, those negative feedback loops that are just replaying constantly in the background that we don't even realize is controlling our everyday life, and also creating awareness around those things and connecting the dots. And then the third part is visioning. And so it's a little different than visualizing, because it's almost like you're receiving the vision. We're not creating that vision. It's just coming through for us. And so when you put these three components together, I found that it's really powerful to help create sustainable change, as the visioning part is really based in a lot of Dr. Joe Dispenza's stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where when we can see that vision and immerse ourselves in that vision, but also feel all the feelings of it, it's basically manifesting, right? And you're giving your brain the GPS location for where you want to go. And so it's been really, really powerful for me, finding hypno breath work specifically because it's very intentional with where we're trying to go.
That's amazing. I love that. I love that type of breath work, and just getting to the subconscious and quieting your mind and reprogramming all those things that we have that keep us stuck and hold us back. How do you invest in your own personal growth and give back to yourself from giving to all of these people that you serve?
Yeah. I love investing in myself and my personal growth. You could call me a personal growth junkie. I just always want to find the best version of me. So I have coaches, I do programs that help me dive deeper into those subconscious patterns that are playing out in my life. I have an amazing morning practice every morning of, breath work, meditation, journaling, all of those things to make sure that I'm really set and filled up personally, before I go fill other people up. And so it's really important to me to invest in myself in multiple ways, to make sure that I'm showing up in alignment and authenticity and doing the work myself that I'm leading other people through, but then also so that I can be the best version of myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. Once you get hooked on personal growth, it's like, it's contagious. You just have to keep doing it because you see what's on the other side and you just want more of it, and you just want to clean up everything that's ever kept you stuck.
Mm-hmm. It's a rabbit hole for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. What advice would you give to somebody who's just stepping into professionalism?
Oh, that's a good one. So it's funny when I decided, oh, like breath work is my thing. Like I can feel it when I do it. Like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I was very excited because I'm very creative and I want to put together events and all these things and bring people together and help them dive deeper. And I didn't realize that there's a lot more to it than that. Right? There's a lot more to it than me just getting to go hold breath work for people. There's a lot on the business side. And I was like, oh, I didn't know I was going to have to do all that too. So the biggest thing that's been really, really pivotal for me is making connections with other like-minded people, with people like you, going to networking events where, there are other professionals there that know what I'm dealing with and can help give me support and advice. That's been the biggest thing. So make sure you're surrounded by people who are going where you're going, who are where you want to be, that can help you along the way.
Mm-hmm. I know specifically here in Vegas, and I'm sure many other places, that networking is really big for you as a professional. How do you decide what events to go to and which ones you need to be at? Because there's so many, you'd be there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week if you didn't decide. So how do you pick and choose which ones are best for you?
So I actually know a lot of people who are constantly like it could be like another full-time job going to all
Yeah.
of the networking events. And I just go look for people that I resonate with, that I click with, and I ask them the ones that they're going to. And coming from Vegas nightlife and never in a corporate background, I feel like I don't fit into I don't know, I guess like a lot of areas where it's more like corporate. And so asking other people who I feel like I fit in well with where they're going, but then also staying open to new environments and new people, right? And going and experiencing it before I kind of, make a judgment. But I first and foremost just ask the people that I love the most, that I resonate with the most. I ask them, like, what ones do you like? Where are you going? And I've never been led wrong that way. I've been led to the most amazing networking meetings and opportunities and meeting the best people through doing that.
Yeah, I agree. I made a mistake when I first started out in professionalism, just going anywhere and everywhere I could find. And I think it was a benefit and value at that time, but it did help me see that you have to be strategic with your networking and who it is that you're spending your time with, because you need to be at the right events
Yeah, because
that
that's
are
our
your people, and your
yeah.
people aren't at all of them.
Exactly. And that's our biggest resource, time we can never get back. Right. So I love that you said that, like spending it wisely and being very conscious of, where you're putting your time and is it benefiting you, and not just spreading yourself thin because you're trying to scramble and make all these things happen. So yeah, I love that you said that.
Yeah. So after leaving the cocktail waitressing, you were kind of forced to just jump in full time into your coaching. What is something that came up, a speed bump in your journey that you had to overcome to get to where you are, besides the whole pandemic and you just starting out as a coach?
Yeah. So I would say there were a couple. The first one that I had to work through was that coming from a nightlife industry, there was a lot of addiction in my world. Right. And so working through that and finally getting to a place where realizing like, okay, I want to be a life coach and I see myself going this way, but the way things were going was like way over here, and getting myself in alignment so that I could be a life coach, so that, my life is where it needs to be so that I can help other people. And so working through addiction and getting sober and getting clean was a huge, huge part of my life that I had to clean up and get through first before I could do anything. The other part that's been more challenging for me is because I've never, because this is my first business, the structure for me. I'm working on structure, right? And just kind of having it so that I know I'm doing the right things and I'm not just hustling or doing busy work just in trying to stay busy so that I feel productive. But like, what are actually the things that I need to do to be productive and be successful? And then creating structure around the structure and consistency around making sure that I do those most important things every day. And that was something that I worked with on my coach for a while. I was like, we need structure in my life. She was like, okay, let's do this. So that was one of the other difficult parts for me, is really knowing that I'm doing the right things and then creating structure and consistency around those things.
What are your values as a clarity coach?
Well, my number one value is always freedom, right? I always want to feel that freedom, just of being able to make my own choices and yeah, around what I'm doing, being in alignment with the things that I'm doing, making sure that I'm doing things that light me up and not just because it's bringing me money or because I feel like that's what I should be doing, is another really big value. And I feel like in general in life for people, that's what I like to let people know. Like, how are you feeling about this? Is this actually something you want to do? And even if it's something you're like, yeah, like, yeah, I feel like I'm excited about it. Well, okay. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you? Is this like a 7 or is this like a 10? Right? Because again, going back to time as a resource, we have a finite amount of time, and wanting to spending your time doing things that don't light you up, I feel like is a really great way to get to burnout. And so that's become one of my biggest values, is saying no to the things that don't feel super in alignment and don't light me up. And getting rid of the things in my life that I'm like, this just doesn't feel right for me anymore.
Mm-hmm. I always say saying no to something else is always saying yes to yourself.
Yes, someone taught me that. And I was like, that's the greatest thing ever. Like, if I'm
It
saying yes
is.
to you, what am I saying no to myself for? And that
Mm-hmm.
changes things. And then it makes
It
you
does.
feel more empowered in saying no and not feeling bad. And then not also feeling like you have to explain yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who is someone you really admire and why?
There's a lot of people I admire. One of the people that I've been working with, she's actually she's the founder of Hypno Breathwork. She put together the method herself, and she created an app called Mastery, which is a breathwork app. And I am one of the founding coaches on this app. And she has been such a huge, huge influence on me and huge mentor to me, and just allowing me to see what the structure and consistency looks like, but also coming at it from an intuitive place, right? And so it's that balance of the masculine and feminine, right? We're in a masculine world. We need to take action. We need to do these things, but taking intuitive action instead of taking those actions based on this is what I feel like I should do, but really connecting deeply into yourself and taking those steps that are intuitive for you and seeing how those lead you in the right direction. So her name's Francesca Sipma. She's amazing. She's been such a huge mentor for me. And even me seeing her growth and the way that she lives by her values has changed my life.
Yeah, that's the fastest way to success, is finding somebody that you admire and you can learn from. You can model exactly what they do, and you'll be there in no time. So,
Yeah.
I love that. What does being a professional mean to you?
Ooh, good one. What does being a professional mean to me? Oh, I think so. To me, it means that is a really great question. So I think it's about, so I have this business, right? And I think for me, actually, it may be a little bit of a block, right? Not really thinking about myself as like a professional, but like a business owner, even. And really just coming into that, like, yeah, this is a business that I'm running. And it's about really putting your best self forward, right? Putting your best self forward and making those connections and working to change the world and make the impact on the world that you want to make, right? There's so many people, like, we are professionals. We pick something that we're really good at and that how we want to show up in the world, and then you just be that thing the best that you can. And in that, it's almost like you become the professional, you become the expert in your field. And so really showing up as your best, as your most professional self, and embodying that part of you.
I love that answer. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
So what events do you have coming up that you want to share? What are you doing?
Yeah, so I have pretty regular breathwork classes. One event that I have coming up a little bit later in the month is a New Year. We're calling it New Year Revolution, and because so many people, by the third week, we're doing it on the Lunar New Year, which is January 22nd. By that time, most people have set resolutions. They've forgotten about their resolutions, and so we are going to take a revolutionary approach to resolutions, and we're going to really do some reflection on the past, but also reflection on how we showed up with our resolutions and how do we want to show up differently, and then creating an action plan. And of course, we're going into the breath for a lot of this, and helping people create a really solid action plan for each month. How are you going to get to the goals that you really want to hit this year, and how do we create consistency and structure so that we can get there, and also taking intuitive action each step of the way. So that is on January 22nd, and it's going to be a workshop. It's from 1 to 5:30. So I'm really excited about that one, and just helping people hit those goals and take a different approach to the way that they get there.
How can people find out more information to join that if they're interested?
Yeah, so the best place to find me is on Instagram at The Clarity Coach, and it's TheKlarityCoach. I will be actually starting to post about it tomorrow, and we have limited space, so go check out my Instagram. I will be posting about it tomorrow, and if you're interested, I'd love to have you there.
And is that the best place for anybody to get in contact with you or follow you or find out more? Is that the best place for them to go?
Yeah, that's where I spend the most of my time, is on Instagram. So that would be the best place.
Okay. Any last words?
Last words. You know, I personally love the new year feeling, right? The fresh start thing. But we literally have, every day can be a fresh start. Every day can be a new chance, a new opportunity to get to where you want to go. And so if in a moment you don't feel like you're there, you have the next moment, the next day to start that anew. So even though it's a new year and we want to use that momentum, we can have that momentum anytime we want.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for
having
being
me.
here on the show. Just a reminder, this is a professional podcast show. We go live on the first Wednesday of every month. Our next show will be this Wednesday on the 4th at 1 p.m. live on Facebook. Please find us and follow us there.
Outstanding information, Crystal. I did want to ask you a question really quickly before you left, because I really enjoyed the content about breathing. And I know we met recently and you were sharing about what you did. As far as a person who wants to become better at breathing, where do they start?
So I would say the best thing is to just start to become conscious of the way that you're breathing throughout the day, right? Notice if you're breathing really shallow and really rapid, and notice how that affects you. Notice that when you're breathing like that, you're probably in stress. You're probably really focused with your shoulders in your ears, or anything like that. And then taking a few times in the day to become conscious. And what that means is just stop, notice your breathing, and then consciously take some slow, deep breaths, right? If you're feeling stressed out, if you're in fight or flight, if you breathe in through your nose And then really the longest, slowest exhale that you can manage out of your mouth, and as if you're breathing through a straw, will help bring you back online and activate your parasympathetic so that, and then you can really feel the difference. So just breathing in through the nose and then big, long exhale.
Huh.
And once you start to notice how powerful just that is in creating a shift, you'll definitely want more.
Yeah, just simple, simple little things. But yeah, breathing is because we all breathe, and I think we don't realize how important it is to breathe just because it's a function of the body, but doing it correctly so that you're able to get the benefits that you mentioned. I think that it's a great business that you're getting started in, and I really wish you success, just like Rachel did, in the future of your business.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. Well, Rachel, did you have fun?
I did.
All right. And again, I want you to remind everyone, I know you had made the announcement a second ago about your show, but will you make your announcement and let everyone know again how they can get in contact with you if they want to potentially work with you on becoming empowered and growing in 2023?
Yes. So I am the host of the Professionals Podcast. I am live on the first Wednesday of every month at 1 p.m. on Facebook. Please follow us there, find us, and watch our shows because I have some of the most amazing guests and you can learn so much from them. And to work with me or just get in contact with me, the best place to go is my website, empoweringgrowthcoach.com. You can find my personal phone number and email if you want to reach out and connect with me. You can also find my social media links and follow me there as well.
Yeah, thanks again for stopping by, Rachel. Displaying Professionals. We greatly appreciate all that you're bringing to this network with your show, and go get them as an empowering growth coach. There's a lot of people out there who really can benefit greatly. I had the opportunity recently to write a press release about Rachel's business, and it was phenomenal the amount of response that she got to what she does. And so I know there are a lot of people out there who are very interested in changing their lives, getting beyond the challenges that they are having, and becoming who they were truly meant to be. So I think you're an excellent facilitator for that, and keep up the great work over here at PR Connections Radio.
Thank you so much.
All right. So we've got a few minutes before we're going to have our next podcast. And I just want to stay connected with all of you out there. Again, our network was actually designed back in 2017. I came up with the concept of this after many, many years of being in broadcasting. I started my personal broadcast career back in 2017. Or actually 2011, excuse me. And I started it in AM radio. And what this network really represents for me is a transition. It's really the gradual evolution of what broadcasting represents. Because when I was doing this show, it was called PR Connections. Back in 2011, it was a 1-hour radio show, AM radio. For those of you who I'm sure everyone's listened to AM radio, but if you've ever been in an AM radio studio, that was still a big thing back in 2011. And but over the course of the last 11 years, the evolution in the technology, the growth of social media, and your ability to be able to connect with people literally all over the world. This encompasses it, I think, with what we're developing here at prconnectionsradio.com, where we literally have people doing podcasts in different parts of the world. One of the podcasters on our network, she does a show called Voices of Humanity, is in Toronto. We've had guests on shows from Ireland. We've had them from England. We've had them from South Africa. We've literally done shows and connected with people all over the world because of this growth in technology and the ability to be able to connect via social media. And so for all the social media platforms out there that allow us to share our content, we're really grateful for you, because it gives us an opportunity to get some great information in the hands of people. And so again, we've got so many other podcasts that we're going to be hosting throughout the course of the day today. And I'd love for all of you to stay connected with our hosts. They've got shows that come on at different times. So our next show is going to be Cozy Up and Pay Attention with Cozy Stone. And you're going to really enjoy her show. She interviews parents who raise successful children. And so that's typical of the types of shows that we like to broadcast on our network. It's really all about empowering people, just like Rachel was talking about a second ago. The type of content that we've created here is really designed to uplift and build people. Then we have an inaugural broadcast actually today. One of the women who works with PR Connections, her name is Dana Wall Oakley, and she's got a show called Dana Does Voices. And just a phenomenal show that's going to display her skills at being a voice actor. And I've watched her process as she's grown as a voice actor. And so you're going to get a chance to hear her go into all these different characters with her voices with Dana Does Voices. Then we've got the love of business. Business is a really big part of the platform that we've developed through the years with prconnectionsradio.com, because I personally run a public relations and marketing company and called Classy Communications, PR and advertising. And so we've been really working with people for many years to help them improve their front of mind awareness in public relations and marketing. And so we have a big focus over here on helping people pursue their entrepreneurial dreams. So many people, it's a brand new year for all of you out there. And maybe you had a dream that you wanted to start a business of some kind. And in the world that we live in now, there are so many opportunities out there to pursue your dream of being an entrepreneur, becoming a person who runs their own business. And so the love of business is a showcase for that. We have Edgar Rodriguez and Davin Sunvik are the hosts of that particular show. And their whole focus is on showing you why they love the business that they're in. And they have a lot of guests who come on in many different industries who give excellent tips to people who are either in business or aspire to be in business. And so we've got the Love of Business podcast that'll also be coming on the air later on during the day today. And of course, we've got 2 sports shows that are done by our sports junkie. His name is Ian Rakelli, and he has 2 sports shows that he hosts regularly. The one show he hosts is called The Sports Angle, and he's been hosting The Sports Angle for many years, and he brought it over to the PR Connections platform almost a year ago, and we've thoroughly enjoyed the opportunity to work with Ian and for him to display all of his knowledge of sports. He covers many sports on The Sports Angle, has interesting guests from all over the country, literally, and they explore all the major sports and many others. And so, yeah, The Sports Angle comes on every Friday, and I believe it's at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every Friday. So you want to tune into The Sports Angle. I know he also does special shows sometimes as well. And then he has another sports show called The Hockey Hub. And on The Hockey Hub, Ian talks about things related to the Vegas Golden Knights, because we are here in Las Vegas. And of course, our big focus is on the Golden Knights, who are the best team, by the way. And I know there are people out there who would dispute the fact that the Golden Knights are the best team in hockey, but we really love our Knights here. And so Ian talks a lot about the Vegas Knights. He talks about the Vegas Silver Knights, it's the minor league hockey team here in Las Vegas. And he actually broadcasts that, I believe, 6 days a week over here at prconnectionsradio.com. And so you want to tune in if you get an opportunity. If you're a hockey fan, I am really becoming a hockey fan. We got the Golden Knights here a couple of years ago, and I had been sort of a casual fan throughout the years of hockey, but now I've had many opportunities to attend the games. And of course, Ian is very engaged with this particular show, Vegas Hockey Hub. And so I've become much, much bigger a fan of hockey as a result of watching his show. So yes, the 2 shows that Ian Rakelli does are The Sports Angle and Vegas Hockey Hub. And then we've got, of course, later on in the day, we have a woman named Shirley, and she has a show called Aunt Shirley's Survival Tips. And with Aunt Shirley's Survival Tips, she is a woman, she is a 91-year-old podcaster. just a phenomenal friend of mine who I've known for many years. She's an author. She wrote her first book at the age of 80, and she's written 5 books between the age of 80 and 91. Just a really phenomenal person, someone you really enjoy. But on Shirley's Survival Tips, she talks all about methods to survive things that come up unexpectedly in life. Her having been on the planet for 91 years, she's experienced many things. And one of the things that she's learned is that being prepared for things that you don't expect to happen is an important thing. So she's had shows where she's talked about how to can your own goods so that you'll have food stored away, how to create places within your house where you store things so that if there's some kind of catastrophe and you can't get to the grocery store, you'll have a storage of food to be able to live on. You just never know what kind of situations you might encounter in this life. And she talks a lot about that particular topic. She's talked about things related to making sure that you have generators so that you can have, and batteries and electricity, so that if something happened, if you had an outage or something like that, you'd be able to still function in being able to run your life in the event. So these survival tips are so valuable that she talks about. I don't know what she's exactly going to talk about today, but she always has just amazing content that she shares with all of us. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful opportunity, I think, for you to learn more about survival. So throughout the day, I'll be having more descriptions of the shows that we're going to have. And Dana Wall Oakley is backstage. And so I'm going to bring her in. Hello, Dana. Welcome to the connectionsradio.com marathon.
Hi, Guy. Thank you so much. This is going to be so much fun.
And will you share with the audience what your show is all about?
Oh, goodness. Well, today is my first show, you know. I'm calling it Dana Does Voices because I'm a voiceover artist now. And I love to play around with different accents and different voices. And I have a character. And I'm going to be showcasing my talents as well as interviewing entertainer type individuals. My first guest today used to be a talent agent. So that'll be really cool to find out about that. But I script and I'm writing a book and I'm going to be doing the voices. And I thought, what a fun way to get my vocal flexibility, if you will, on a showcase. So that'll be really fun.
What inspired you to become a voice actor?
Ooh, I've wanted to be a kind of entertainer for years and years and years, but I had really bad stage fright and didn't want to be out on the stage or on camera. And using my voice, I've been playing around with accents since I was really young, and I got it from my dad, who's really good at the accents. And reading stories for kids with those different voices, you know how you read a story and when a new character comes out, you use a different voice for the character and then you kind of play around with it. So I wanted to do that, but voiceover is behind the scenes. You don't normally see the people who are doing the voiceover. And I've watched animations and cartoons and games with voices for years and thought, that looks like it's really fun. Sounds really fun. I'd like to do that. And I got into it last year after I was sick and I wasn't able to go back to a regular job. I thought that's the job for me. So I built this home studio with a little studio booth type thing. And I got a professional training and a professional demos. And here I am.
And Dana, I know that your focus is being the behind the scenes person in a lot of ways, including being a voiceover person. So that is sort of like the ultimate behind the scenes type of activity. How does it feel to be in the bright lights? Because you are going on the air for all of the world to see, to share your amazing voices and business today.
just a little nerve-wracking knowing that it's not just my voice you're hearing, it's also me you're seeing. So I had to clean up the studio just a little bit. It's my desk here, and I tend to pile. So I had to organize, knowing that people are going to watch. Uh, but it's also really fun. I have kind of done this before. We were on a radio show, so you didn't see me, but you heard me, and a variety of other voice actors that I worked with on a weekly radio show. So we did different voices, different characters, different scripts, and we also interviewed entertainer type people, and we traded off being hosts. So I have kind of done it before, just not on video. Hi. So I have to look good, not just sound good. But it'll be fun. It'll be really fun.
Yes, I am super excited. And Dana and I have been friends for many years. We met in the greatest organization in the world, which is Toastmasters International. And my last question for you, Dana, is how has being a member of Toastmasters, which helps you improve your speaking and leadership skills, how has that influenced your ability to do what you're about to do right now?
It absolutely gave me self-confidence to be able to be seen while I'm speaking. If I hadn't done that, I would not want to be on camera. I would prefer to be behind the scenes. But being able to speak in front of a group, even if it's people you don't know, I mean, I built the self-confidence up to be able to speak at conventions where I'm in front of an audience of over 2,000 people. And before that, it was hard for me to speak one-on-one to somebody I didn't know. Even somebody I did know was really difficult. And now I have that self-esteem to go, hey, this is who I am, like it or not. It doesn't bother me either way. And the self-confidence to be able to just speak what I'm thinking and speak off the top of my head. A lot of times I've won the Thinking on Your Feet table topics contests, which is really empowering, self-empowering. And so that's given me the confidence to be able to do this and not, I'm getting a little nervous, but not really. I'm going to be able to embrace the fun. I know it's going to be fun.
Absolutely, Dana. And I love it when our network has the opportunity to launch another podcast, and we're going to launch one for you right now. Dana Does Voices. Her premiere is coming in just a minute. I will see you soon, Dana. Have fun and enjoy your experience.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We are going to have a blast today with Dana Does Voices, and if you stay tuned, I will be right back. Dana Wall Oakley has been using her voice for over 15 years as a speaker and storyteller in Toastmasters and longer in her life. She enjoys writing and telling stories, as well as having fun with different vocal styles and genres. Dana loves to train and entertain. Dana started as a kid having fun with accents and playing around with recording shows on an old cassette player. As Dana matured, she entertained friends and children alike by reading stories using funny voices and acting them out. Several years ago, she joined a voice acting group as a hobby. In this group, Dana Wall Oakley voiced many different characters in a variety of scripts and interviewed entertainers on a weekly internet radio show. She enjoyed using her voice in many ways and contributed further to the group by writing scripts. Currently, thanks to such a voice training and professional demos, Dana has a voiceover business, Oakwall Studios. Visit her website at www.oakwallstudios.com. She is also continuing to write stories. Dana is working on 2 different books of short stories. One is about a cute, fuzzy teddy bear named Rory, who is possessed by a demon and eats hikers. It's a comedy horror series. The other book is about Penny the penguin, an investigative reporter who works for the Daily Squawk in Antarctica. She plans to record the audiobooks herself when the books are published. Dana also enjoys working with PR Connections on their digital marketing campaigns and is excited to have her own podcast called Dana Does Voices, where she will showcase her talent by reading her own scripts and interviewing a diverse mix of entertainer-type individuals. Tune in to PR Connections Radio Facebook and YouTube Live to watch Dana Does Voices with Dana Wall Oakley. How exciting! And my first guest today is a former talent agent, holistic healer. Her name is Ray Everlasting. Welcome to the show, Ray.
Thank you, Dana. I'm so honored and excited to be here.
How are you doing today on this fine New Year's Day?
Oh, fabulous. Fabulous. It's been a beautiful day so far.
Awesome. So you were a talent agent in Oklahoma before you moved to Las Vegas a short while ago. How did you get into that? How did you become a talent agent, and how long did you have that agency?
In Oklahoma, I was convinced by some friends that I would be a good actor. And so I was introduced to an agent in Oklahoma, and I chose to start doing some background extra work and acting. And I developed a real bond and community sense with a lot of the fellow actors that I was working with. And I remember at a point in time, several of them came to me individually and had no idea that each one was doing it. And they were like, we are looking for a specific type of agent that we're not finding in Oklahoma. And we believe that you would be really good at that. And so I started looking into that possibility and ended up launching my own talent agency and kept it as a boutique specialty talent agency in Oklahoma.
Boutique. So what does that mean by specialty? Did you do only on-screen actors or voice actors, or a mix?
I did a mix of voice and on screen. I called it a specialty because there were a lot of agents that were also trying to do musical talent.
Okay.
And that's a lot of extra beyond regular on camera and voice. And so I chose to keep it focused on those two things. And keeping a boutique meant that I kept it at 250 actors or less. And so within my first year, I was just about at my limit of 250 actors. And I had the agency for 3 years.
Okay.
And then felt a calling to go back to my holistic practice. And so I actually sold the agency to one of the parents of my actors. I had a child actor, and the parents made the choice to buy the agency so that they could continue to uphold the integrity and the really focused attention on the actors that I was offering.
Cool. So did you have a lot of children, or was it mostly adults?
I had a really good mix, actually. I had probably 40% children actors to 60% adult actors. So it was a really nice mix for me.
That is a good mix. What did you enjoy most about being a talent agent, especially as a specialty?
Yeah, my most enjoyable moments were when I got an actor a part that they really wanted to be in. And then making that notification and watching them light up and watching them succeed. One of the things that I also recognized, there was not a lot of local opportunities for actors to get some really good feedback and coaching and guiding. And so I had some actors that were really good at doing that. And so I started organizing some opportunities for my actors to have more time in a group setting, where kind of like Toastmasters, where you're given a task and you are have all these people that are really rooting for you, and they're giving you that valuable feedback that helps you to just become better and better and helps you to thrive and flourish. And so that was one part of the agency that was important for me, because I wanted to see my actors feel good about what they were doing and succeed.
Awesome. What was your process for acquiring the talent and securing roles for the talent that you represented?
So as far as securing the talent, I had a process where they filled out kind of an interview profile and listed things like, why did they want to be represented by me? What were their goals? What were their short-term goals, their long-term goals, things like that. And then I would put in a few questions to help me get an idea of what they really were looking for, such as questions such as, am I looking for help with coaching? Am I looking for help with feedback? Am I looking for help with my script reading? Am I looking for help with my demo reels?
Okay. All right. And so, yeah, because essentially you were getting them a job.
Right.
So it was like a job interview, right?
Very much like a job interview, but for me, it was also important to know what they were looking to gain and what they had to contribute.
Did they have to do? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, to me, that creates a community, a sense of community, and a sense of family. And when you do that, you feel more supported and you're more likely to grow and flourish and do well. And so that was my goal for them.
Did they have to do an audition for you?
They did. They did. They would come in, and I had a very much similar to yours, a studio where we could do, because of where we were located, that allowed my actors to come in, and if their audition was some distance away, then we had the option to shoot there at my home studio and submit their audition that way.
Nice.
So what I would do is they would submit that they were interested in being talent that was represented by me. I would review the information, the written information that they submitted, and determine whether or not it felt like it was going to be a good fit based on what they were looking to gain and what they were looking to contribute. And then I would bring them in and we would do an actual cameras going, give them a choice of 3 scripts, have them go through, it's a very short script, have them go through the script and record. And one thing that I did was then to play back that audition and let them watch it and offer them some feedback. Because one of the things I wanted to see was, are they going to be very positively receiving that feedback?
Yes. Yeah. Are they coachable, right?
Exactly. Are they coachable? Are they going to receive feedback in a positive manner, or are they going to get combative?
And you don't want anybody who's combative. They absolutely need to be coachable, because in an actual job, that director is going to tell them which way to do the role.
Exactly.
Right? Yes.
Exactly.
So segueing into showcasing my talents, I have a little script that I'd like to read for you.
Absolutely.
It's one that I wrote. I'm only going to do the first page. Keep it short. It's one of my How Food Feels series, and it's chewing gum. So I have 4 different characters. I'm going to start kind of in the middle so that you get a feel for all 4 characters. So we have Stephanie and we have Roxanne. We have Gum 1 and Gum 2.
All right,
Sunday-
let's hear it.
All righty. Whew, man, Roxanne, who does your breath stink? Gee, thanks a lot. Yeah, it was that onion and ketchup sandwich I had for lunch. Sheesh, you need to keep a toothbrush in your drawer if you're going to have stuff like that for lunch. You reek. Well, I suppose so, but I think I'll just chew a piece of gum. Does that work? Yep. Let me pull this gum out from the pack. Oh, I thought I'd be stuck in that pack with the other pieces of gum forever. We might be minty, but it was stuffy in there. You idiot. You don't want to go in there. You'll come out a mangled mass. What? No, wait, what? What's this big open thing with the long pink mattress in it? That's a mouth and tongue. See the white things? Yeah. Those are teeth. They're going to chew you up and spit you out. What? But why? I'm so delicious. Why would someone do that? That's why you're doing this. And it continues. But I love this series, and I do comedy scripts mostly. And the chewing gum one is just too funny. So that was a taste. Maybe on a future show, I'll do the whole thing.
Very nice. Very nice.
I like to try to do 4 distinct characters. When you're reading it all at once and doing character to character to character to character, it's a little difficult to switch over and keep those distinct.
Right. Right. And that's one of the things that I learned being a talent agent and watching the actors is the more an actor could be embodied
Mm-hmm.
and then bring in that character and embody that character as well,
Mm-hmm.
the more successful I saw them be.
So was it easier for them to be one character rather than multiple?
Right. But what I noticed when I was observing you is that you have put thought into each character. So when you're switching from character to character,
Mm-hmm.
I can see that transition.
It's different watching it visually than when you're a voice actor, for example, on a cartoon. Nobody sees that, and you can. And typically, they'll record the different parts individually and then edit them together.
Exactly.
So that I thought about doing that as well in the future, is recording a script, doing each character, then editing it together.
Right. And in my experience, that's what works best, simply because, as I said, the most successful actors I've seen in my experience were the ones who fully embodied first themselves, so that then they could bring in that character and embody that character.
That character itself.
Right.
Individually, one at a time. Well, think about Mel Blanc, who had how many different voices, and there's current voice actors out there now that have multiple characters, but they probably record them individually or one at a time so they can continue to be that one character. I like doing these scripts in my Toastmaster meetings where I have to switch, like boom, 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 boom. But sometimes the voice isn't consistent when I switch.
Right. It's a lot of shifting back and forth between the different personas.
Yeah.
And the only workaround that I know that I've seen that works is to take a nice breath in between each persona.
Okay.
And that's one thing that I know, even in regular conversations with people, we get excited about what we're talking about. We're looking forward to the next thing, and we forget to breathe.
Yes, exactly.
And I know I'm really, that's a thing that I work on a lot, is remember to breathe, Ray. Remember to breathe.
Good point. They talked about that a lot in my training.
Yes.
Breathe. Now, when we read these scripts on the radio show, there were 4 different characters, 4 different people. Each person had their own character. I don't have all those people now, so I'm reading the characters myself, which is really fun and challenging. So it's pretty cool. But it allows me to play around with the accents, and to have fun with the different voices. This is Rory's voice. He's a cute little teddy bear, but he's going to eat you. So when I record my books, that's Rory. And Penny is pretty much my normal voice. Yeah, and so those will be really fun as well. Segueing back to when you were a talent agent, was there anything about that uh, agency or job per se that you liked the least? What did you really not like?
I would say the only thing that made it really challenging was lack of communication. So, if there's one thing that one little piece of sage advice that I could give to actors out there or anyone represented by an agent, communicate.
Mm, okay.
Uh, the it's very difficult for an agent to really be effective and work well for a talent when the talent is out there looking at all these opportunities, and instead of contacting the agent and saying, hey, I just saw this and I'm interested in it.
Yes.
Can you help me with that? I mean, that's our job as a talent agent.
That's why an actor has
And
an agent, right?
right. And so I think that was probably the most challenging part of it for me. The part that I really didn't enjoy as much is when I would find out from either the actor after the fact or from someone else, oh, did you know this person got cast on this?
Oh, and you didn't know about it, even though you were their agent.
Right.
I see. Yes.
So that's the one thing that was not as fun as the rest of it.
See, that's the most challenging part for me right now as a voiceover artist is doing the marketing and getting my own job. So I've been thinking about procuring an agent to do that for me. That way I don't have to think about it. And it's worth paying the fee, whatever it is, for an agent to get those jobs.
Right.
Then, you know.
Yeah. And I know when I had the agency, there was no upfront fees for my agency because it was a small boutique and it was in Oklahoma. And so what I did was I just was a 20%, whatever you get, whatever I get for you, 20%.
Okay.
And that was it. And money well spent, in my opinion, having worked both sides of it, is money well spent because that left me time as a talent. It left me time to then focus on honing my craft.
Oh, so you
rather
continued
than
to be
marketing.
an actor as you were also an agent?
The only time I did that when I took up the agent position was in cases where we had, for instance, a casting call where they were looking for 150 people,
Ah, okay.
but they wanted specific types.
And you fit that type.
And if I fit the type and I didn't have quite enough actors, then I would submit myself because it's background. They don't care that I'm running the talent agency. They know that I'm putting in all these other actors as well. So it's not like I'm playing favorites. That was the only time that I did it. And so it's very few and far between. Most of the time, I was very happy being the person behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes.
Yes.
Yeah. I do generally like being behind the scenes. We have these podcasts on PR Connections and I'm the engineer behind the scenes.
Right.
And I like that position. I'm also really having a lot of fun with this. And thank you, Ray, for making it exciting and really fun.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm really excited and happy to be here.
So you moved to Las Vegas a short time ago and you've transitioned back, you said, back to your holistic practice.
Yes.
What is that and how can people find you?
My holistic practice is under Ray Everlasting. My practice it's Everlasting Ray.
Okay.
So just turn it around. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm on Instagram as Ray Everlasting. I have just started a YouTube channel again. It's at Ray Everlasting, RAE Everlasting on YouTube. I also have Facebook. And so that's the best ways to find me. I
Okay.
also have a website, but that's really the easiest way to find me
Mm-hmm.
is through Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube.
Okay.
And the YouTube I'm very excited about because I did spend some time years ago, both on radio and on camera. For 3 years, I had a radio show of my own called Empowering Transformation.
Okay.
And I've been getting this pull to get back to doing podcasts and video
Okay.
and offering some empowerment, some uh, holistic viewpoints on how to live healthier and happier.
So that's why you've joined our
Holistic.
holistic Toastmasters
Yes,
meeting,
that
which,
was the
yeah,
word that brought me in was the
that's
holistic.
that's excellent. That is excellent. I have had an awesome time with you today, Ray. Thank you so much. And hopefully we'll have you on again at some point in the future. I have to
Oh,
figure out
thank
a good
you.
day and a good time. It'll probably
Yes.
be every 2 weeks I'll have the show. If anybody has any feedback about what's a good day and time you'd like to watch, let me know. We'll do it then. Thanks
Thank you
again,
so much,
Ray. You're
Dana.
welcome. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Ha- oh, Guy, you're muted.
Wonderful, wonderful interview, Ray. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year,
Yeah.
Guy. It's good to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you did it, Dana. You did it for the first time.
Yay! I know that was really fun.
Yeah.
That was really, really fun.
Yeah.
And thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
All right. Well, you guys have a great happy new year, the two of you.
You as well.
Thanks, Guy. I'll keep watching.
All right. Well, there was the launch of the very first edition of Dana's show. Dana does voices, and like I said before, I really love being a person's first. What a great experience it is to actually be a part of someone doing their very first podcast, and to do it in front of the type of audience that she's doing it in front of. Takes a lot of guts, because we are literally on multiple platforms. We're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. There are lots of people out there that are watching this show. And so way to go, Dana. Your first time out, you nailed it. All right. Well, my second host, or actually my third host for the day, it is flying by. We're just getting through these shows so quickly. And my third host for today has been a good friend of mine for many years. And I approached her recently about participating in having her own podcast, just based on her personality and the type of person that she is. And she was pretty excited about putting it together. And so for the last few months, she has been hosting this amazing show where she talks with parents who have raised successful children. And I know I personally have a child, and I know how important it is for most of us as parents to do a good job at that particular thing in our lives. And I really enjoy the fact that Cozy is extremely focused on highlighting people that do an exceptional job. And I'm going to bring her on screen here really quickly. Miss Cozy, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How about you?
I am wonderful. Welcome to the PR Connections Marathon. And how are you doing? Happy New Year.
Well, same to you. Did I just hear you say you like virgins?
Well, see, I didn't go there, but you went there, Cozy.
Or was that my interpretation?
Well, yeah, we know how you are, Cozy.
Well,
So yes.
You said it. I just wanted to make sure I heard it correctly. I like furs.
I get more feedback about your show, Cozy, from people. As a matter of fact, I was with someone last night celebrating New Year, and she was talking about how much she enjoys your show. So I want you to share with the audience what it's all about.
That makes me feel wonderful. This show came about from me in the world looking at the news and the devastation of how children are behaving. And in my head, and there's a lot that goes on inside of this head. I wanted to showcase the parents whose children won't make TV from, unfortunately, taking the lives of other children. I'm of an age where I hear people say, "Oh, our generation, the next generation." Every generation's a different generation, and I don't want to be that senior that talks about the generation that's going to follow me. And because of that, and I'm around so many people who constantly talk about their good kids and the discipline they give their children and the rules and the straightforwardness that they do apply to their children. And I said, why don't I put on a show to showcase them, to showcase the parents who are doing a great job? I keep hearing time and time again, bad news travels, and that's why the news and the media only promotes negativity. Well, I'm not a negative person. I don't live in a negative world. Everything about me is positive, and I believe there's good everywhere, and I'm constantly trying to find it. And this show is debuting that.
Yeah, Cozy, I think your show is exceptional because, as you mentioned, there are not a lot of people out there cheering for parents. I mean, as you don't hear a lot about, like you said, you hear about negative aspects of the way that people might raise their kids, people pointing the finger at parents and saying, well, how could you raise a kid like that? But very rarely do you see something where parents are celebrated for all the hard work that it takes to be a parent and to be one who, sticks with your kids. And I know probably there's very few parents on this planet who don't want the best for their children. But there's so many other variables involved in being able to raise kids. And I love the way that you accentuate the positive. Sometimes you ask some pretty tough questions of these parents. And so what is your thought process when you're trying to figure out how to interview people? What are you looking for?
Well, I think it helps that I have a background in sales. And in order to get a close, you really have to ask the right questions. You don't know what the customer needs or what their needs are until you hone in on the right questions. The right questions is a cozyism that I need to put in the book if it's not already in there. The right questions, more often than not, get you the right answers. Right? The unanswered questions get you nothing. So I don't have a hard time. I don't have a problem asking the hard questions. I pride myself in asking the hard questions because my personality, I need the right answer. Right, wrong, indifferent. I don't have to like it, but I have to respect it. So I ask my parents. They get to choose. As you know, I send them 40 questions. I took a lot of thought in each one of those questions for the answer I wanted to get from them. They choose those 5 questions. And that makes it easier for them. I'm not throwing questions at them and they've got to think on their feet. Oh my God, what do I say? They are prepared. And some of them are so prepared they go ahead of my questions, but that's okay too. I know how to slow that down. I just like to think, Guy, I just can't turn this brain off. And as you know, I'm getting ready to start bringing on some of the parents, some of the children from these parents. And now I've got to sit down and come up with a whole group of questions, which shouldn't be too difficult from the interviews that I've already had.
Yes, you've really done a great job of developing this show, Cozy. And as you mentioned, what you found, and this is the way that the podcasting world works, is that you find what works. You start to discover what it is that you do that brings the greatest impact. And so it's great. I like to watch people do their first podcast. But another thing that I like is watching people's podcasts evolve and grow as you start to see, and you being a performer, I know you can relate to this because certain things work well on stage. And for you, certain things, this is a stage. Being a podcaster, and the performers do very, very well at podcasting, is something that I've discovered. And it's just because you know how to figure out what's working, what's not working, and you're constantly working on getting better and better at your presentation.
Thank you, Guy. Thank you. I was very complimented when you presented it to me because I have the utmost respect for you and what you've done. And I remember before I left here in 2010 or so, you started with your radio, and I'm just impressed with you. I like winners. Sue me. So I follow winners, and I know you're a winner. You've proven yourself to be one, and I am highly complimented that you brought me into your circle.
Yes, we're all really enjoying Cozy Up and Pay Attention. And is your guest on the way?
She should be on. She said that she was ready.
Okay, so I don't know if she got the link. She
I
didn't get
asked
your
her
link.
if she sent her the link. I passed the test, huh? Ready to rock and roll. They are running a little late. I don't understand. This is what she's sending. What the hell?
Oh, okay. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I don't see her backstage yet. So I don't know if she went into the test studio. Here she is. She made it. Here she is. All right. So I'm going to back out of here, and you guys are all going to experience Cozy Up and Pay Attention with my good friend and funny woman. By the way, you won't see that today, but an extremely, extremely funny woman, Cozy Stone. Stay tuned for Cozy Up and Pay Attention. Enjoy, Cozy.
Thank you.
Cozy Stone is a multi-talented comedian extraordinaire who has a real lust for life. She also combines humor and motivation, where she is known as a humorvational speaker. Her youthful ways and positive light make her a beacon for those of all ages. Cozy has lived a remarkable life that has paved the way for so many. She had the longest-running open mic venue of 11 years at Tommy Rockers in Vegas, called Cozy's Comedy Corner, through which she introduced many up-and-coming comedians. Before going into comedy, she was one of the first female personal trainers and one of the top fitness trainers in the world. She has trained many greats such as Billie Jean King, Roberta Flack, Andrew Young, Ed Bradley, CCH Pounder, Al Pacino, and Earl Monroe. As a former competitive bodybuilder, she also owned a bodybuilding gym for women over 40 in Los Angeles for several years. She has worked in top positions for HBO, Playboy, and Tony Robbins. She also enjoys volunteer work, dedicating time to the New York Foundling Hospital and babies with AIDS. Cozy Stone has a message that shouldn't be missed.
Where is my guest? Good afternoon, Miss Rose. How are you?
Hello, fabulous. Thank you, darling. Happy New Year.
Thank you very much. Before we get started, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who've watched before, it does have to be repeated. This show was put together because we know parenting doesn't come with a manual. We know there are plenty of books out there, but they're not pertinent to each and every child. We know that the perfect parent doesn't exist in spite of what they think. The other part of it is this show has nothing to do with parent shaming. If we are adding a little bit more to parents who just need a little bit of help, we all can use a little bit of help. And as I like to say at the end of the show, and I'll say it at the beginning, sometimes when we know better, we do better. My guest today is a friend and a wonderful parent to a biological mom to one son. And I thought it was important, since she's off today, to have her on here. And Lady Rose, we're going to hit right into it because today we've got people following me. So I'm really on the clock. So I like to give the audience a little of your background, so we'll know where you came from, so you were able to give to Stratton. If you will tell us, please, where were your parents born and how old were they when they had their first child?
Sure. They were both born in Greece. My mother on the island of Crete and my father on the mainland Messalongi, both from historical places. The one was born around First World War and the other one around Second World War. So they had about 16 to 20 years difference. They both actually were born in historical places. Where my father was born, it's where Lord Byron died for the Greeks.
Okay, And how old were your parents when
Yes.
they met?
Right. My father was in his 40s and my mother in her late 20s. They were pen pals.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. I love this. This is the second one like this. This sort of throws me off. Don't ask me why.
Okay.
How do you, well, of course you know. How long were they together before they started their family? They got married, right? They got married,
Right.
then they began the family. How old were they?
The first year. So my father was in his 40s, my mother, in her late 20s.
Oh, this is great. This is great dynamics. All right, so your mom's in her 20s, your dad was in his 40s. How old were you when you gave birth to your first child?
I was 32.
And where did you meet your the father of your child, which was your husband? Where did you meet your husband?
My ex-husband, I met him in South Africa. We were both part of the Greek South African community. So I met him and got married in 1980.
Okay, so you were 32, your mom was 20, your dad was 60. And how old was your partner?
My partner was 3 years older than me. So I was 23 when I got married, and then he was 26. So when I was 32, he was 35.
Right.
So we were in a 9-year relationship. So talk about steady. We were engaged for 2 years, friends for 2 years, and married for 9. So
all right. So that's where what I'm going with is the difference in parents.
Yes.
Who have children in their late 20s, early 30s. That's a different mindset. That is a different parent.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's talk simply about your husband, simply about your first husband.
Yes.
When you first met him, what were some of his characteristics, if you will? I usually say, was it his brains, his brawn, or his beauty that you were attracted to?
Right. It was actually more his love of music and his brains that attracted me.
All right. So, you know, he had brains, he liked music. So once you obviously were going to plan to have a family with him, what were some of his characteristics that you wanted to see in your child?
Oh, definitely. Definitely the intelligence. I love the love of music, and I think that gets instilled at a young age, which did. My son is a great guitar player. And also just compassion. That's very important to me. You know, it's more about not just loving one's mind or another person's body, but seeing their heart and soul and getting their sense of goodness.
All right. So now you're a woman in your early 30s. You plan to be a mom. So you get the news, and I'll ask you because I have to ask this question. Did you get it from the doctor or did you get it from a stick? New parents, they get it from a stick. So did you go to the doctor and the doctor told you were pregnant?
No, I got it from a stick. We were planning, and I think I got pregnant like the first 10 days. And I was like, why did I get pregnant so fast? Even though I was planning it, I felt I was 100% psychologically ready, but then I wanted more time.
All right. So this brings to my next question. So the stick tells you you're ready. You thought and wanted to be ready. Did you feel fear or fantasy that this wonderful news, you finally got this wonderful news? Which was it?
I'd fear.
Okay. All right.
My dream came true, and now what?
Right. Thank you. I think you may be the first person ever said that. Oh, because I think I'll be fearful too. Okay. So you had your child. Where was Stratton born? In LA?
Santa Monica in LA. Yes.
Did you have parents or family to help you? You didn't have any support in raising your child. It was just you and your husband.
Just me and my husband. I had a close circle of 5 friends. One other had a baby, so we kind of helped each other. But my mother came from Greece actually to help me with the first 2 months. Wow. So that was very helpful because I went back to work after 6 weeks. I told the babysitter, call me when he shows signs of intelligence.
Of course you did. So I know, of
No
course,
time for Goo Goo Gaga. I had no time.
so I know, of course, that you didn't stay. How long did you parent? And I know you co-parented, but let's the first
Yeah.
question. How long were you together raising the kid?
6 years.
Okay. So what part of the country did your husband come from? Where was he born and raised?
In New York.
Okay. So you have Greek ancestry, all of that background. What did you have either in common or that was totally different that you are now have this body in the household that you're going to parent together? Let's go with what you had in common.
With my ex-husband or my current
Wait,
husband?
no, we're not talking about him at all. Only the first husband.
Okay.
What did you? Sometimes when I talk to people, I laugh at this parent wants this to happen and this parent doesn't want this to happen.
Right.
Can you give me an example?
Oh, that's a very good point, because him being an engineer, everything was sort of black and white. And I felt he was a little bit too rigid. So I'm the one that provided flexibility. So philosophically, we agreed on the parenting, like timeout, try not to spank the child. It's a last resort, a slight spank on the hands if, he's not understanding the limitations. So we agreed on the how to. Our styles were a little bit different. And I think between the two, I gave my son a little reprieve, because I think being too strict with the child and giving them no room for flexibility and to grow and develop themselves, that's also a problem.
Okay.
You need to let them become who they're going to become, right? With some guidelines.
Right. So I always like to ask the parents, and it's because I hear my mother in my ear. So as your parents, your mom, your dad, whichever one, were raising you, there were things they said to you, Lady Rose. I can't say your name without both names, so I can't help myself.
That's okay.
Yeah, I can't say. I had to ask you what your last name was. What is one thing, maybe two, that you can hear your parents, what we thought was being nagging, that were lessons that you went on to share with your son?
The main thing I think about is they both said, love the beautiful, love beauty, put everything back in its place, sort of this organized environment. We didn't have a chaotic environment because they ran businesses. And then my brother and I helped with the household as well. And they always said, go after quality, not quantity. And of course, get an education. It was very important to them that we were educated.
Okay, so that's three. Thank you.
Yes.
Now, let's move on to your questions. Your first question that you chose, were you prepared mentally, emotionally, or financially to give birth?
Definitely. I'd say on all three levels. We were both, IT professionals earning good money. Okay. And we asked ourselves, do we think we can be contributing parents and bring up a child that we think can also contribute to society? That was a big deal to us. We cherished our freedom to travel. So we knew it was going to be quite a sacrifice and a change of lifestyle in your early 30s. You kind of got used to, just the freedom of movement and travel. But again, we never regretted having my son. Yeah.
Now, the next question I think you answered, but I'm going to ask it again.
Okay.
Did you and your partner discuss disciplines? And I think you answered that a moment ago when you said he was too stringent, you were a little flexible. So we're going to move on only because of the clock here.
Sure.
What made you a successful parent?
Consistency in one's approach. So being compassionate while applying discipline, and also establishing clear boundaries, and knowing some days, like in the evenings, he'd come home and we'd be eating, and let's say we disciplined him several times. At some point, we'd say, okay, that's enough for today. We don't want to create a negative home environment. So we knew when to back off, but then we'd pick up the next day. So he didn't get a sense of, our son didn't get a sense of he can get away with it. The boundaries were well established. We just wanted to have some happy family time and just don't touch this or that. Let that go for a couple of hours before bedtime so he can have positive experience with his parents and we can create this happy environment.
Okay. The next question that you chose is explain an unexpected challenge.
Oh, yes. So the unexpected challenge was in my son's early teens. I was divorced at that point, and my one of my roommates came to me and she said, "Do you know, I looked in the trash cans and I found a bong." And I was like, "Really?" She goes, "Yes, your son was in the basement with a bunch of his friends the day before, and I'm sorry to let you know, but it seems like they were smoking marijuana." So I went, "Oh gosh, thank you very much for letting me know." And of course, I slept on it for a day because I had my son, half time. And then when he came back, I thought, okay, what's the best way to deal with this? So I told him that I became aware of this. And I said to him, I'm going to be asking him consistently over the future if he's still smoking. And he might possibly lie to me and say no, and I won't know the difference. But if he finds himself lying to me, then he needs to know he has a problem and he needs to ask for help. So I don't approve. I understand it's part of experimentation of all teenagers. I had experimented, and luckily enough, I did not become an addict. And I hope the same for him.
Right.
So we used to touch base every now and again and talk about it, and have a very open relationship about drug usage, and friends of his that got into trouble living in Calabasas. He had friends that went to rehab. He had other friends that didn't have a good ending. So he had the example around him of potentially what could happen.
Good for you.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry. I say this all the time. And Guy just asked me a moment ago, when I say I enjoy this, I really do. It's just good to hear good parenting. It just makes me feel good. So sue me. So here goes. Your next question. Now I'm going to throw a question in before I go to the next question because I think I can get in here.
Okay.
What age was your son when you got divorced? When you had separate households? You and your husband had separate, or him and his father had separate households?
That was between 6 and 7 years old, when he was in second grade. His father decided to resign from his job and take him to Thailand for about 9 months. And I had difficulty bringing him back. But the beauty of it, we turned a negative thing into a positive. Instead of reporting him to the authorities, I cooperated. And during that year, my son had a National Geographic experience in Vietnam and Thailand and Southeast Asia. And he learned to play guitar like Jimi Hendrix. He just plays amazingly. And it fused the relationship between him and his father, which was wonderful, because his father used to travel a lot for the first 5-6 years. So that is why we actually divorced, because we got emotionally distanced. So I was glad. Yeah, my ex-husband got a chance to then reconnect with his son and develop that beautiful relationship that they have today. And they play music once a week in a band every couple of weeks. So we are all.
And so what it sounds like, the co-parenting worked. And what I know from co-parenting, one weekend you're here and another weekend you're here, and one gets holidays there and the other one gets holidays. And what I'm asking, and it sounds like it was so, you two were able to be on the same wavelength to raise him.
Absolutely. Bingo.
And on the same page. So he can't come to you and say, Dad said, and can't come to Dad and say, Mom said.
Right. Absolutely.
That is huge.
Yes. The biggest reward was when I was at after school care, and we were talking about the monthly payment, and the lady said to me, you guys, missed paying this past month. I go, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry. My ex-husband usually pays the bill. I'll check with him and we'll take care of it." And she said, "Your ex-husband?" And I said, "Yes." I said, "Yeah, we've been divorced, several years." She said, "I want to commend the two of you, that until you told me now, I never realized that." And she said, so many of these kids, to your point, the parents, each one is pulling an arm and they pitting the one up against the other at the expense of the child. And we were very aware of that. We said, we made our mistakes, we made our decisions to move forward, but the one person that's not going to suffer is our son. Wow. That was a conscious decision. Yeah.
Again, folks, these are responsible adults who decided to bring another human being in this world and figured it out along the way. But again, being that you were more mature individuals, you had a good sense of life, you'd enjoyed, you weren't giving up anything to give something. And right now you have the results of that. Your last question is, explain an unexpected joy.
The unexpected joy, oh my word. So when my son was around 4, he went to a Christian, preschool. So we're driving along Topanga Canyon, and my son turns around and says to me, Mom, before I was born, when I was up in heaven with God and Jesus, I chose you to be my mother. Well, I almost wrecked the car. I almost ran off. I said, what did you say? Like, can you please repeat that? Did I hear that? And it's a very strange thing. Like, he felt he was also predestined to be in this family. And to me, it gave me such joy because I was so much on the fence of having a child and not having a child. And I know I make it sound easy, but the first 2 years, I really said many times, why did I do this? It was in the middle of the night. He wouldn't sleep. He'd be screaming. I changed the diapers. I fed him. I did everything to make him happy. He was like the Hulk. He was like a 21-year-old stuck in a baby's body that just couldn't wear. He was like, roll on 21. He must have picked it up from me, Please come back to me when you're intelligent. And he had a sense of that. And when he turned 21, he said, you know what? I'm happy with my life. I have no issues. I have no need of a therapist. Thank you very much, Mom and Dad. And that was, so that came kind of full circle. Yeah.
Those are the words.
Great joy.
And I've had parents on here who have heard that. All right, we're doing well. We're up to your fun question.
Yay.
Oh, Lord. I didn't want to look, and I'm glad I didn't. So this is so you. All right. I don't even know. Okay, here we go. Pick one. Would you rather be a world-class attractive, a genius, or famous for doing something great? That's a hell of a question for you. I can't wait to hear the answer. Which one?
So it's the doing something great. I'm always, I know we shouldn't envy, but I always envy when I see CNN heroes. Actually, less than envy, I look at it for ideas of what is it that I can do to help people on a large scale. As you know, I love to help people, but I've always wanted to help them on a larger scale. And since I work in technology, it sucks up a lot of my energy and my creativity. So I'm looking forward to retirement where I can actually turn that energy, into something, charitable, whether I end up living back in South Africa or Greece. I'm sure there's going to be an opportunity to give. So I'm very excited about that.
Well, I'm sure I didn't put money on that answer because I would have lost my money. I would have lost. Any and all of them pertain to you, but I do know your heart. And so the answer you gave is exactly what I would expect. Okay, so to sum this up, we had 2 adult parents planned their child, sat down, talked together. Even when it went wrong, they stayed on the right path. A son who said thank you. And again, he is an environmentalist attorney. Is that correct?
That is correct. And a philanthropist. He goes to orphanages in Mexico. He does philanthropic work, feeding the homeless, any opportunity he finds to help, he does.
And so what all that says, and what I want this show to do is to show once you do the job, it does pay forward. So yes. Your parents gave to you, you gave to him, he will give to the world at large, or is giving to the world at large. And real quick, again, keeping it positive, but when we see the parents on television, when it's an unfortunate incident, and you hear them say, it's a good child, I did my job, they know they didn't do their job. I want your kid to be on the TV and be given a medal or something, an honorarium for doing the philanthropic work, as opposed to what they make us believe.
Right.
Especially children of my color, they're all doing bad, and that's not true.
Right.
We've got wonderful children of all color, race, creeds, nationalities, religion, that their parents are sacrificing. I think that's the best word.
Absolutely.
Are sacrificing themselves for the good of society and the good of mankind. I have 1 minute. Folks, we thank you for being here today. Let me please say Happy New Year. This is going to be the last show of our first season. Our next show is on Tuesday. It will be the first show of our second season. Please come back on Tuesday at 2 o'clock. She's going to be on at 5:30 because she gets off work late. And continue to share. Go to YouTube. Pull up Cozy Up and Pay Attention to Parent Edition. This is live on Tuesdays. It is a thrill to be a part of something good. And like yourself, you know, I can't do enough. It's my time. The clock on the wall says goodbye and have a great year.
Thank you so much. You nailed it, Cozy. Mwah. Love you. Bye.
Very well done to both of you. Excellent show. And I love to hear about your approach to parenting. Very positive.
Thank you.
And very parent-like.
Thank
Certainly, you raised your kid. And,
yep,
and that's
I was
really
there.
what the show is all about. And just excellent information, Ellen.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a lot of fun. Anytime. Lovely meeting you too. Take care.
All right. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Best of luck for the next year.
Yes,
Lots
thank
of
you.
success.
Guy, am I done?
Yeah, you nailed it, Cozy. Tell me, so you're, what do you think? I thought she did an excellent job.
Of course she did an excellent job. You know, I had to stop her, but she did her brain is in overdrive. That's what we have in common. We can't stop thinking, and so she wants to give in all the fillers, and for 30 minutes, it's 12:45. Isn't that when my show was supposed to be over?
Absolutely. You are right on time so that we can roll into the next show. And one more time, Cozy, please announce to the audience out there when they can check your show out.
We are on, with God allowing, I like to say that, on Tuesdays at 2 o'clock, from 2 o'clock to 2:30. Tuesdays from 2 to 2:30. It's live on Facebook. And then you can find us on PR Connections Radio on YouTube forever.
Forever and ever.
As long as YouTube stays up, we'll be on there.
Yeah. All right, Cozy. Well, you take care of yourself. Look forward to continuing to broadcast your wonderful show, Cozy Up and Pay Attention, here at prconnectionsradio.com. And I know you're going to have a huge impact during your second season. That's a lot of shows. It's not as easy as you might think.
It went quick. 20 shows. Today was the 20th show.
Wow. And I remember we were just sitting in a restaurant one day, talking about the concept of this, and Cozy is a woman of action. And that's what it takes to be a podcaster. It really does take a real commitment to providing great information for your audience, bringing in guests and making sure that they are fulfilled as well. And that's one of the things that I've seen in you, Cozy, is you have a real commitment to making sure that your participants, your guests are well prepared and that they know that what they're getting themselves into. That preparation allows you to have a show that's very effective. I
try. I don't want to be a parent, but I do love being a responsible adult. How's that?
Yes. You're doing a great job of promoting the importance of parenting.
Yes.
All right. Cozy. So we'll see you soon.
Right. And call me and we'll talk about what we discussed yesterday.
Absolutely. And
I'm out of the studio. I'm leaving. Next person needs to come on. Yes.
All right. Yep. Take care, Cozy. Have a great day. All right. So we have several of our hosts who were unable to participate in the show today, and I'm gonna run some of their promotional material. We're going to take a few minutes. We have Brian Gardner, who does two great shows. One is called We Have the Power, and the other is called So You Want to Be and they've got promos that I'm going to run. Oh, he has two promos that I'm going to run. We also have a wonderful show called Voices of Humanity here at prconnectionsradio.com. That is hosted by Sandra McKechnie, and she's unable as well to participate in this event today, but I want to give you a little taste of what their shows are all about. So I'm going to run both of their promos, and then I'll be back in a few minutes. We've got lots more for you to experience here at the marathon for PR Connections at prconnectionsradio.com and all over social media. Be back in a few minutes.
Hi, My name is Brian Gardner. I'm the host of We Have the Power. Now, this program is not just going to give a pass to Republicans and say that all Democrats are bad. I think there's too much of that. And we're not going to do the reverse. What we're going to do is talk about those situations and systems in this country which have been broken. Politicians who are trying to introduce legislation that's not good for the bulk of Americans, and many other topics where perhaps the public has been fooled by the media and vested interests. Because we here at We Have the Power believe that our towns, cities, states, and country and the condition they are in is up to us. The main purpose of We Have the Power is to educate, motivate, activate, bring up to a need for change, a demand for improvement, and results, so we never lose our freedoms and liberties. I hope you'll watch these segments and join with me in keeping America great. Thank you.
All right. And I'll show you another promo.
Hi, my name is Brian Gardner, and I want to talk to you about something that many of us are concerned about, and that is the future of our world and our young people, our children, our friends' children. We are always concerned that they are going to get involved with drugs or alcohol abuse and this sort of thing. And we try to tell them not to abuse alcohol, to use drugs, but it's the generation gap, where they feel we're telling them what to do again. And that really isn't a good tool in our war against drugs. But I'll tell you what is. The booklets from the Truth About Drug campaign. The marijuana booklets come in English and Spanish. And what's exciting is you can get these booklets for free, and they cover a wide variety of alcohol, inhalants, LSD, every possible drug that you could think of. There are booklets like these that you can get for free by going to drugfreeworld.org. I will repeat that again in just a moment. The key thing about these booklets is that they do not tell young people, don't do this. They say, this is what will happen if you do smoke marijuana, if you use inhalants, if you abuse alcohol. Young people are very smart. They will take a look at this information and they will say, that's what it's going to do to me? I might not be able to hold a job. If I want to have children, they might come out deformed. Forget it. I don't want to take that stuff. And then we start winning the war against drugs and alcohol abuse and other things that people get involved with. Drugfreeworld.org. You can go there and look at the various booklets besides the books on marijuana. Decide which ones you want. Ask for them. They will send them to you free of charge. And you might say, send me 5 books of this one, 10 books of this one, 3 books of this one, because you may have friends that you feel would benefit from having their children read these books. So please, let's use a valid weapon in the war against drugs from the Drug Free World organization by going to drugfreeworld.org and getting these free booklets and keeping our young people from ever abusing drugs, abusing alcohol, making our future bright and future generations free from this kind of entrapment. Drugfreeworld.org, free booklets. Get some for yourself right away. It's the best weapon in the war against drugs. Education. Thank you. My name is Brian Gardner. I'm the host of an exciting new podcast, So You Want to Be A. Now, I believe that young people are so important to any society, so I want to help them by making sure they know all about an industry or a career path they might want to choose. And the way that you can help me is by contacting me if you have been in a particular industry and would like to share how to be a success, what kind of education is needed, what are the dangers, what are the upsides, what are the downsides. all information that will help young people to know before they go down the path toward a career if this is a career or a job that they would want to go into. And in this way, we will help our young people, we will help our society, and we will provide valuable and fantastic information that would take them years, possibly, to gain if they had to do it on their own. Please contact me so that I can interview you. You can have promotion of your business, of course, but also, most importantly, we will provide factual information to young people about a career path they might be choosing so that they know it's a good path and something that they actually want to do. Please contact me. I will be glad to interview you, and together we will be able to help young people. Thank you.
Voices of humanity, we need to hear your voices. We need to hear your voices.
All right. Just wanted to take a couple of minutes here to promote some of the other great podcasters that we have on our network. And with Brian Gardner, we have the power. He has powerful messages for people in many different aspects of life. He does a lot to empower the youth. And then he's also very big on just having a better society by living together, working together towards constructive solutions. So we really enjoy his podcast. We Have the Power airs every Friday at 5 p.m. right here at prconnectionsradio.com, the voice of new media. Also, it's either on Facebook, on Facebook. You can tune into his show. It's just an outstanding show that will give you a lot of solutions to different problems that you have or aspects of society. He's really a deep thinker, Brian. And so I know you'll enjoy We Have the Power here at PR Connections. And of course, Sandra McKechnie comes from this place of double consciousness where she's empowering people to take a look at their lives in terms of their consciousness. And she has really had some amazing guests over the course of about a year that she's been podcasting here on the network. She talks about so many important issues that are relevant in our times. And we really miss having the two of them participating in this marathon because, from my perspective, It is the podcasts themselves that make this network. It's really about the great information that they provide for all of you, the amazing guests that they bring on, and the feedback that we get from people who watch all of our shows is so focused on the efforts that our podcasters put into it. And one of the reasons for the marathon today is to give some props to all these different podcasters that we have on networks. I know that podcasting has become a vehicle that is embraced by so many people nowadays because of the prevalence of video, the ease now that you have to be a podcaster. But the commitment that it takes for someone to continuously present shows on the air should not be underestimated. And again, that's one of the reasons why we decided that we were going to put on this marathon today, is to make sure that you got a chance to see our stars. The investment that they make in being able to put these shows together it's really, really important. And so for those of you who tune into our shows, just know that we appreciate you, and we appreciate our stars at prconnectionsradio.com. They do a lot in order to be able to bring you this fantastic content that I know that you all enjoy. We've got lots of shows that are coming up. We've got The Love of Business as the next podcast that's going to be on the air. As I had mentioned before, Aunt Shirley's Survival Tips is also in the queue. You're going to be able to learn from a 91-year-old podcaster, a woman with so much knowledge and wisdom to share with everyone through her podcasts. So her show is also on the way. Of course, we've got Ian Rakelli. He's got 2 shows that are on the way. The Sports Angle, where he gives an overall overview of sports. And then he's got Vegas Hockey Hub, which is a deep dish show that dials into specifically the things that are happening in the world of hockey. And we also have The Business of Giving that's coming on. And The Business of Giving is a show that's promoted by the Cause Marketing Chamber of Commerce. That is a 501c6 organization that I am also a part of. And our organization is all about contributing to the community by bringing businesses and nonprofit organizations together to create synergistic relationships that build the community. So The Business of Giving is coming on later. That is hosted by Carl DeMeilig. He is the chair of the board for the Cause Marketing Chamber of Commerce. So he will be on later interviewing a woman named Dawn Fissler, who is a big giver in the community. So again, we've got lots of shows, lots of more excitement, lots of fun. And actually, I think Davin Sunvik is backstage with The Love of Business. And here is Edgar Rodriguez as well. The Love of Business is here. Welcome, guys.
How's it going?
All right. Going
Devin,
good. Thank
for
you,
some
guys.
reason, I can't see. There you are.
Yeah, it's all good. I was sending Edgar a quick text, which it didn't send. Sorry, bud. But I'm sure you'll get him down. It's all good.
Happy New Year's. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
So tell me, what's The Love of Business all about? What do you guys share with this show?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we do is we interview business owners. I like to kind of lead the way as far as like keeping track of our timeline and giving some commentary to our business owners. Edgar does a lot on the preparing the questions, giving some valuable feedback from his experience that might be able to help these business owners. And so that's a little bit about what we do.
And Edgar, I know that you are deeply engaged in the business community on a lot of levels. How does doing this podcast, how does it support the things that you're doing? Why don't you guys both kind of tell us what you do for a living?
Yeah. I mean, for me as a business coach and a networking strategist, it's helped me, give value back to the community. And I always like to explain it, me having my Marine Corps background, going from serving my country to now being able to serve my community and what we do. And with the Love of Business podcast, it allows us to just highlight, individuals and business owners in why they got into business and entrepreneurship, right? Just like we did. And what led me towards that is everything that I've done in my life with, leadership in the Marine Corps, leadership in my corporate world. I finally, sat and thought about it one day and said, you know what, I need to do this for myself. I need to start building a legacy for my daughters, my family. That's what truly inspired me to get into entrepreneurship. And I know Davin and I are going to touch on it, but like the ups and downs is what a lot of people don't. The ups is what everybody wants to talk about, but what are the struggles and how did you overcome those struggles? Because that's true entrepreneurship, right? It can be a lonely journey. It doesn't have to be. And that's a choice that some people make. And that's why we got into doing this podcast is how do we support each other as a community and push each other through those, barriers that are that turning point for businesses.
Yeah, you truly have to have a love of your business, don't you, in order to be able to deal with, as you had mentioned, Edgar, it's definitely not a straight path when you're running a business or doing some type of an entrepreneurial endeavor. And before I remove myself and let you guys take over and host the Love of Business, I wanted to get some feedback from both of you about becoming podcasters. And what's it been like? You guys have been doing this show for a few months now. What does it feel like? Edgar, I know you're doing some other things as well, but for you, Davin, what's the podcast experience been like?
It's been pretty interesting. It's a little bit different than being on video. So I've created video content, like pre-recorded content in the past, and it depends on, if you're in the corporate world or you're just doing it personally. But in the corporate world, it was like every second matters, right? Versus when you're live, you can make a little bit of a mistake, catch yourself up, and people understand that you're being genuine in real time. So there's a little bit more forgiveness on that. But then there's also like, you don't want to make mistakes in front of people because it does impact the viewer's experience. So that is a little bit different. But overall, I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, you and I, you invited me onto the radio that one time, and ever since then, I don't know. I just kind of really liked the experience and kind of took off with it. So yeah, it's been fun.
How about you, Edgar? How's being a podcaster working for you in your business?
It's actually, to me personally, it's been a lot of fun. Right, we're having those real conversations, and I like the organic conversations that we have with business owners to give more valuable feedback. Right, if you're on the brink of and thinking about, hey, I currently have a side hustle, but how do I turn my side hustle into my main breadwinner? And that's what I feel that the Love of Business podcast has done for a lot of people. Is if you're on the brink of like, hey, how do I do it? What do I do? And you start getting connected with the right people and you build that community, because at the end of the day, we're in the relationship business, right? We're in the people business, and it's building those relationships that are going to push you to have a successful business. So what it's done for me, I like to leverage it for the lot of the other organizations that I'm involved in. And Davin and I will touch on it, but at the end of the day, it's what value do we bring to the community?
Yeah, absolutely. And these are two very young, sharp entrepreneurs, and I know you're going to enjoy your experience with them. So I'm going to jump off stage, and the two of you have fun presenting the Love of Business.
Awesome. Thanks, Guy. All right. So I'm Davin Sunvik, your co-host for the Love of Business podcast. I'm also with Edgar Rodriguez, who I'm going to be interviewing first today. So we don't have a guest today. We're actually going to be kind of guests of each other. You're going to get a chance to get to know us a little bit, as well as see how we interact, kind of even how we interact behind the stage. So Edgar, I've got a few questions for you, and we discussed these before the show, and I think people are really going to get interested in this because, we got the new year coming up, and I think a lot of people that are interested in business are actually going to be part of those New Year's resolutions. And so this is probably a really good time to ask, how did you get started in business?
So the way I got started in business is, growing up, I never envisioned, or if you would have asked, 21-year-old Edgar, would I be in business today? I would have probably gave you that Marine Corps stare and looked at you a little differently. But what truly got me into it is wanting to set that legacy for my two daughters and my family, right? I want to teach them that anything that you set your heart towards, right? If you have that true passion and something that you're excited about, being in business is not it's a tough journey, but it's a very rewarding journey. And for me, it was just that, like, I want to be able to provide them the lifestyle that was meant to be. And by doing so, the sky's the limit. And I always tell them, if you shoot for the moon or you shoot for the stars and you land on the moon, I'm not going to be too upset.
There you go. That's a good way to do it. So building the legacy was kind of like that motivator to get started. And then so after you kind of got started in business, you got a little bit of experience. What were some of like the first failures and maybe even some of the most recent failures that you've experienced in business?
Yeah, I'm gonna say my biggest learning lesson was trying to perfect everything. And what I've learned from, launching my own business and now, having the ability to be a business coach is just go get your first customer, right? I was too worried about, I have to have the perfect website. I have to have the perfect marketing plan. I have to have the perfect curriculum. I have to have great videos, great content. If the marketplace really believes in what your vision, mission, and values are, then and you go get that first customer, that's what rinse, repeat, and recycle, right? So for me, it was just that biggest learning was that I was trying to perfect everything on the back end when I should have just been focused on, hey, let me go get the first customer. And then, hey, I got the first customer, let me go get the next customer. So it was just that simple. But at the same time, it's one of those things that you overthink and you overcomplicate, right? And there was no instructions when it came to like, hey, what do I need to do? Or how do I start the business? In being surrounded by great people is what helped me gain that success was, being through you and Spark, and having Bunker Labs and having the other organizations that I belong to has truly paved the way. And having that community to support me. And I'm sure you've experienced the same too, but surrounding yourself with like-minded people and people who are going to push you to do better, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and having that reason why, like how you talked about how you got started, is going to help you get over those failures because we're all going to fail. And I think every entrepreneur can probably relate to being their own worst customer at some point. And I can relate it to, like, you talked about building the website, right? Like if you say, okay, my time is worth $50 an hour, right? And you look at how many hours you put into your website and you go, did I save that much dollars and hours? And you go, man, I'm a terrible employee when it comes to building websites. I better fire myself, get somebody else doing it, and actually focus on what I am good at. So yeah, that's really good stuff there. Okay. And then, so we're pretty simple today. So I know that you're involved in a bunch of organizations, Bunker Labs to mention one of them. We both participate in Rec Therapy Barbecue. Name some organizations that you're involved in outside of your business now because of your success.
Yeah, I'm going to say giving back to the community, and being introduced to Bunker Labs, right? Bunker Labs, they help veterans and military spouses start and grow their businesses.
Yeah.
I got introduced to Bunker Labs almost 2 years ago. And that was right in the middle and heart of the pandemic. And having the ability to jump on board as an ambassador now and giving back, right? And I talked about this earlier and I truly mean it, is I had the ability to serve my country right after 9/11, right? 9/11 happened October of the year I enlisted, and that was a calling for me to do something with my life. Didn't know what that would lead to, but I feel like everything that I've done has led towards where I'm at today, right? The honor, courage, and commitment that the Marine Corps, those are the core values, and I live by those to this day in everything that I do, including having the ability to serve my community. How we do that, and I've had this conversation with the other ambassadors, is if you really think about what we do as ambassadors, is we are ecosystem builders, right? We're empowering veterans, we're empowering military spouses who are getting into business, right? And they're at different levels of business. This is what I love about the program, right? You have people who are extremely successful, some that are on that journey, and then you have some that are barely starting out. So I like having a good mix so you could piggyback off one another. Hey, how did you create your success? Hey, when you hit this hurdle or you hit this barrier, how did you break that barrier? In Bunker Labs, we're in 39 cities and growing. Just last month we had our 2022 Bravo cohort graduate. You had 500 entrepreneurs across the country graduate. That's a powerful thing, right? You have all these across the country, and being part of an organization like that is what's helped push me to be better, right? As not only as a entrepreneur myself or a business owner myself, but hey, I have to be here for them, and I'm in that journey with them. So the other organizations is being on the board of Spark, right? And having just being able to give back is how I see it, because we don't get paid for any of this. It's truly serving the community, and hey, how do we empower other people to be successful?
Yeah, and so Spark's one of those organizations that you and I are a part of together. So in your words, how do you describe Spark?
Community,
Yeah, community.
For me, the one word is community. Is we all want the same thing for each other. And me being a networking strategist is being able to teach how to network and how do you build better business relationships, right? And through Spark, we've been able to do that. I think we have some easy case studies where people were very introverted, they were shy, they became part of the community, and all of a sudden you see them flourish and they start becoming social butterflies. And that's what it's about. Networking is really hard if you don't know anybody and you don't know how to communicate with people. But as soon as you open up and you start to just, hey, I just got to get to know this person. Okay, let me build a relationship with this person. All these people start to become part of your network. And now they're extensions of you. And the better you get to know them, now they know how to talk about your business out. And that was the beauty that I like behind Spark when I first joined the organization is we strategically and tactfully network from going to different parts of groups, right? If there's 3 different networking events in one night, we divide and conquer. Yeah. And we support each other. And I'm not there for me, now I'm there for the community, which is what I loved about Spark the most.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Talk about the community, but also, like you said, the strategy portion of it, right? Too many people, I feel like they look at networking as prospecting, and they might walk into a group or like Spark. And I got this criticism. It was the other day, maybe it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And they were like, how many members in Spark are making over $1 million a year? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because I know so many people in Spark who know people that are making over $1 million a year, and they're making introductions from me to those people that are going to become my clients or going to be working with my business, or I'm going to be creating a solution for, or vice versa, might even be giving me some advice on how I can take my business to the next level. And so like that way of thinking is so small-minded compared to that strategy thinking where you'd say, how can I build somebody up and get built in the process, right? So
yeah,
that's
so now it's time to flip the script, and now it's my turn to ask you some questions. So tell us, Davin, how did you get into business? What are some of the what was your journey like?
Yeah, absolutely. So how I got into business probably more officially is actually going to business school. But even before that, I was always entrepreneurial. So I was a math tutor. And I started out actually in volunteer work. I participated at a club in my high school that gave away math tutoring to other students for free, right? So it was a math tutoring club. So I was a freshman taking like sophomore and like junior level classes in mathematics. So I was able to teach the other freshmen math, in my off time. And then once I got a driver's license, I was like, dang, I actually have a skill that people demand. Like I saw the help that I was doing and the evidence that I was helping people over the past 2 years. I'm like, I can go make money doing this, right? So that's like the simple supply and demand with sales. And I really truly loved it. And then ever since then, I think when I got fired from my first job, that's when I realized that I had to be an entrepreneur, because I got fired from my first job making $9 an hour, and said, okay, I'm really going to amp up this math tutoring skill. Started making 3 times that money, like, within maybe 3 or 4 weeks. And I was like, I spent a whole summer, like, wasting my time away. Right. But it was like, it was good to know. So that was kind of my start into entrepreneurship, was math tutoring, and knowing that you're supposed to do something in life that helps other people, like helps society, right? Like someone else is better off from your work, and so I don't have kids like you have kids, right? So like my why is very like my career right now focused, versus I know one day it'll probably be a little bit more like, how do I support my family focused? But yeah, that was kind of my why. Just how can I help as many people as I can? And that's how I found entrepreneurship.
And that's an interesting point, right? Getting fired from your first job, and that's what had you like, I have to do this for myself. And not a lot of people think that way, right? So what was your thought process behind that, of like, hey, I want to do this for myself, versus, hey, I could go work a 9 to 5?
Yeah. So there were a couple things. I already had the experience, like doing a little bit of math tutoring professionally, but I didn't have like a system for getting new customers. It was just, kind of a little bit of word of mouth. And I would always let people know, like, hey, like there is a free math tutoring center on campus. I'm not trying to like scam people or anything like that, but I do provide a service that is outside of that. So if you want me to come to your house, I can drive and I can do that. Right. So it was always like this value added thing, but it wasn't necessarily, I did it because of the money. Right. Then I had a girlfriend at the time who was like, hey, like there's actually a couple of ways you can probably just make a couple of accounts on these websites and advertise your services, and you'll probably get some phone calls. And I made it. I wrote an ad. I looked at every single competitor, and I wrote an ad that, in my opinion, was better than all those competitors. And my phone blew up with phone calls. And ever since then, I was like, okay, like it's really not like I have a hard skill to sell, and you have to have a product to deliver. But that wasn't what made me the money. What made me the money was the research and how are buyers actually buying, and how are they going to respond to what you're offering, right? And so so that's what kind of made me realize that it could be more than just like, you do something because someone asked you as a favor, because it was word of mouth. It was like something that you can provide to like the whole world, or anybody, Yeah.
And what are some of the talk about the journey and like the struggles, right? How did you break those barriers and to create that success that created some of the freedom that you have now to serve on some of the organizations that you do?
Yeah. So some of the breakthroughs I had to deal with was like me doing everything myself, right? Because I'm a pretty capable person. If I want to get something done myself, I can usually find a way to do it, and I won't stop until it's done. So my relentless persistence probably is what helps me overcome all the failures that I make like along the way. Like, for example, I'll try doing things that like, I'm like, you know what? I'm not really that good at doing this, or I'm not really that good at doing that. I should hire that out of my business, not spend so much time on it, and spend more time either with the customer or with employees. Now I kind of see my agents that work for me. I'm in the real estate business now. I see my agents that work for me kind of as my customer. Like they're a customer of my leadership, right? Like my leadership is the product. They benefit from that leadership. They go out, they make money for the company, and as a whole, we're able to pay each other salaries, right? So now I really think about like, am I doing something that's taking away from spending time that's helping them, So that's kind of what helped me kind of transition over that DIY method of like everything that I have to do myself and it has to be perfect. Like with my marketing materials, I'm like, oh man, I don't want to send out like a bad email. But it's like, you know what? You look at some of these publicly traded companies, once in a while they make a mistake and they have to say sorry to their customers. Hey, that wasn't the right deal. Like we didn't mean to send out a coupon with 25% off. We meant to send it out with 10% off, but we're still going to honor it anyway. Right. So yeah. So.
And what are some of the organizations that you serve outside of your business, right? Now that you've created success and you've got some good traction, and it gives you that freedom, and why did you choose some of these organizations?
Yeah. So I'm technically, my position in Spark is a founding president. So I'm actually the, I think, I don't know what the term is, but pretty much if Spark has to do something legally and there needs to be a signature on it, I'm that person that has to sign for it, right? So I would be considered like a founding president or founding leader of it. And one of the reasons why I did that was actually because of a mutual friend of ours, Sylvia. Sylvia and I connected from networking in a networking group on Nextdoor. So Nextdoor is like an app where you can chat with your neighbors and things like that. And I messaged out into one of those groups, and she was like, "Hey, we need a real estate agent for our referral group." And I knew that those exclusive networking referral groups, you don't find real estate agent positions open. So I'm like, you kind of have to take them. Like you just, if you don't take them, you don't get the opportunity for maybe another year or so to take over somebody else's spot, right? Or you got to start your own, like from scratch. And I didn't want to do that. So after being with their team and seeing the ebbs and flows, and they eventually elected me to lead their meetings as the president of their team chapter, right? That's what switched over to Spark. So Spark really was created from a team atmosphere of like, hey, like we've already got a lot of momentum going, but we can do this ourselves so much better than what the corporate structure of team can provide. And not to knock on team in any way. It's just that, they have their limitations and they couldn't do what we could do on our own here in Las Vegas. So so that's what the motivation for Spark was.
Yeah, I remember being on those roundtables when Spark's inception happened, and I was very appreciative of you guys wanting some insight of, hey, what do you think about X, right? What if we did this? And I was all in. Just because I believe in that core group. Our core group is so solid. Like, and this is not just to toot our own horn, right? Like Spark, the core group that initially started this, they network beyond what I could ever imagine. That has helped both of our businesses, right? And it's surrounding yourselves with like-minded people, and this is how it all ties back in, right? Is we're not in it just for ourselves. We're in it for other people. And that's what separates us, right? Like a lot of the other networking groups, they penalize you for not bringing referrals, right? So is that quality going to be as good as something that's more organic? So again, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just going to respond to that, and you can, like, people can say, well, you force the quality to be good with those punishment systems. But I feel like it is, because it's so limiting, you also don't, it's almost like buying penny stocks versus buying like blue chip stocks, right? Like blue chip stocks, that the returns are going to be pretty boring. They're going to be pretty consistent, right? Those penny stocks, like one might blow up, right? You're taking a risk, right? You're letting people take those risks. And when I say like we did it better than team, all I mean is like we were trying to create value for the community of Las Vegas. It wasn't just about us as the core, right? It was about like what could the business owner experience that they can't experience elsewhere, right? And so that was that, like, hey, we're going to be those risk takers that we don't really judge people based on how much income they're bringing to the network. We really judge people based on like, how are you going to like build yourself over the next year, and how can we support it? And if we're going to support it, what are you going to do to help out other people too, right? Because we want to invest into people who are going to overflow into other people, right? So
it's the value that we bring to the table, right? And the value that they bring to the table, and vice versa. And that's what I truly believe what separates, the organization that you founded from me being a part of a ton of different other networking groups, right? And that's what helped me create Master the Network was, things like that, or being exposed to networking groups like this. I know
Yeah.
we're running up on our final few minutes here.
We actually have, I believe, until 2 hours and it says 2:29, but I believe we have till like 2:37. So we do have a little bit of time to kind of go back and forth. Yeah, just a couple other honorable mentions though. I do participate as a small group leader in my church, something that's really, really important to me. And then I do participate in some volunteer events that my friends host. So like whenever my friends are hosting something and I can help out, I try to join. And I'm big into wildlife conservation as well. I think it's one of those things we don't realize how much of the natural world affects our livelihood in the United States. Like we have such an abundant country and we don't protect it. So yeah, those are some of the honorable mentions for me before we go on to the next segment. So anyway.
In a lot of the things that I like to talk about with what we do is we like to educate people, and that's what I mean by the value add, right? Like me as a business coach now, as a certified business coach, I like to again, you can't get a degree in, hey, I'm now a founder of a company. Hey, there's so many different levels to business, right? Whether you're talking about the foundation of business, how do I lay that foundation, and then what are the next steps, right? How do I test and measure? How do I deliver and distribute my product? This is where we educate people, not just in what we do through business, but as a coach in the network. The better you get to know people, the better you build relationships. That's how you start laying that groundwork for that long-term foundation, right? And what is your why is what we talk about a lot. In when I get to know people, I want to know, why did they create their business? What's the purpose? What's the mission? And then what's the outcome at the end of the day? What did we do it for? It's just something I wanted to touch on, because I know we talk about that in our one-on-ones or when we do our Spark sessions, right? Yeah,
absolutely. When it comes to like the why, I don't know. I think people have like multiple things. Like it's hard to just name one why, like that's why I do so many different things, but I'd say one of the biggest advantages of being an entrepreneur is because of the ability to leverage your time and earn so much per hour. I don't have to slave away 80 hours a week anymore in order to make a living. I can then spend 60 of those hours that I would have spent working. And I say would have because I used to. And now 60 of those hours, some of them go back to my family. Some of them go to other organizations, right? Like those are now whys, so it's really the time. Yeah, it's the best resource. How about for you? What kind of helped you shape your why?
For me, it's always going to be about my kids, right? Once you start, and I know you don't have kids, but your kids are for me personally, I want to give them something that I was never given, right? And I work as hard as I do in everything that I do. It's to teach them, if you do good by people, and the outcome's not always the same, but if you do good by people, long run, it's the respect you're creating in the community, right?
Yep.
Vegas was created not by what you know, but by who you know. And by doing the things that we do now, what does that translate to 5, 10, 15 years down the line? And I think in what we do, it's building those key relationships with community leaders and becoming a community leader, right? That's the turning point, is when people start to come to you, right? And it's, hey, Davin, here's what I'm looking for. And I believe you're the right guy that could help me find what I'm looking for, right?
Yeah.
Or that right connection. One of the books that helped me, because that's what makes me as smart as I am today, is by surrounding myself by really smart people and reading a ton of books. And one of the turning books for me was Who, Not How. In that book, they talk about how we get in our own way by especially as men, right? We're very egotistic. We don't want to
Don't
ask
want to
for
let
help.
go. Yeah, we don't want to
But
quit.
if you do, and you know how fast you could save time if
Yeah.
you figure out to say, hey, who can help me with this? Not, hey, how am I going to get this done?
Yeah.
And that's what I think the passion behind my networking is. If I find the right relationships, the reputation that I built here was, hey, if you get to know Edgar, Edgar knows who you're looking for.
Mhm.
And that was
Yeah.
my strategy at the very beginning. Is my experience with networking is a very interesting one, because it was somebody when I was in wealth management. I said, hey, and this is the reality of it, right? Is
Mhm.
I met someone that was in the same field, and I said, hey, I know we're in the same field, but I feel that there's a way for us to do business together. You are an ambassador of the chamber, and I need some help because I don't know anybody and I
Yep.
don't know where to start. And that person just turned their back on me. And
Yeah.
at that point, the Marine inside of me, because most people would probably feel rejected, right? Most
Yep.
people would probably just walk away from networking and be like, this is not for me. I'll figure it out another way. The Marine, it lit him up like, okay, you don't know who I am yet. Give me time.
Yep.
And I'll make sure you know who I am. And that's how I started the strategy. It was like, okay, let me go figure out who has the same mindset of abundance, who has the same
Oh, yeah.
mindset of building the actual relationship versus looking for the transaction.
Yeah, and one of the best ways, I mean, like marketing without marketing, like if you're doing something organically like that, like just helping people meet people, like you're top of mind, but you didn't send them an email going, hey, buy a home from me, or hey, get coaching from me, right? So yeah, all good stuff. And you can't quit. You can't buy someone like $7 coffee and like assume they're going to send you enough business to feed yourself for a year. Like you gotta spread the love around, and you'll find the people who really are going to give you some feedback, and you're going to find people that it's like, hey, you know what? You don't know who I am. I'll meet other people. Right.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we're running a little bit. Well, I guess we're just running up against our time.
Yep.
It's just time to close out our meeting here. It was good talking with you, Edgar, as always. So I want to thank everybody for watching the Love of Business podcast. I'm your co-host, Davin Sunvik, and joined by Edgar Rodriguez here as my other co-host, and we're signing off.
Nice work, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Great information to help people be more successful in their entrepreneurial endeavors. You guys really exemplify what the Love of Business is all about. And there's so many different elements of it. And I know that you both talked a lot about networking. I know that that's how we know one another, is through our connections through networking. And I mean, Edgar is the master networker. And of course, Davin, I know you too. You're big on that element. That's the cornerstone of success in business, in my opinion, because even if you're not actively going out and necessarily networking the way that you guys described of what you do and what I do, it's the networks that you create in your community, in your business community, that ultimately allow you to be able to get in front of more people, to be able to make your business a success. And I just love the emphasis. If I could just, chime in, you guys talked about, if there's one thing, if you're interested in being in business, either you're already in business or you aspire to start a side hustle, to start a business, create a network. Would you guys agree with that?
Oh yeah, easiest thing to do, like best dollar for dollar marketing you can do.
Absolutely. The most cost-effective way to get an entrepreneurial endeavor moving along and to connect with more people is to create a network. And I'm so glad you guys are a part of my network.
Thank you, Guy. Thank you, Guy. And by the way, it's also the best thing you can do for your clients too, because you can help your clients and customers way more if you know solutions outside of just what you can do.
Yep. It's all about who you know, who you know, who you know, who you know. Great job, you guys, showing your love of business, and let everybody know when they can watch your show in the future. You guys are I know you're still doing every other Tuesday morning. Is that right? I know you're also thinking about potentially going weekly, but maybe you'll share with them about when you're going to be on the air.
Edgar,
so,
go ahead, take it.
So it's every other Tuesday, and we start kicking back off not tomorrow or not this coming Tuesday, but the Tuesday after, and it'll be every other Tuesday from there. And I know we're booked out all the way through October, so still a few gaps left in the show. And if you're looking to get a hold of us, you can get a hold of myself, Davin. My contact info is at masterthenetwork.com, and all my contact info is on there.
Yeah. All right, guys. You got anything else to say, Davin?
No, other than, Edgar booking it out all the way till October makes it easy on me. I mean, it's that Marine in him. He can't help but to be planned and already dialed in with future success. So now I'm really excited. And I know a lot of the guests that are going to be on, so they're going to be really good people to hear from.
Well, thanks for letting us do this, Guy.
Yeah, you guys are doing a fantastic job of expressing your love of business, and I'm really looking forward to all these guests that you're going to be bringing on. The great thing about tuning into this type of a show regularly, if you are either in business or aspire to be, is all these different perspectives. So Edgar was talking about the fact that they've booked this show out until October of 2023. Do you know how many different perspectives of business you're going to get by tuning into this show regularly? That's how you grow, because everybody has a different way that they approach business. And these guys are going to be interviewing a lot of people, and many of them are very successful. They've been running businesses for a long time, and it rubs off on you. So again, it's one of the reasons why we developed this podcast, is for you to get broad perspectives of business. And of course, I want you to support either of these guys too. If you're looking for a great commercial realtor or a residential realtor, reach out to Davin. He has a lot of knowledge about his business, investing as well. Is that right, Davin?
Yep. Investing, career. So I do everything from coach investors, help buyers and sellers, both residentially and commercially, and I help agents build their careers too. And, even if you're not working with me, you might be working with one of my agents that I'm coaching. So, yep.
And Edgar would master the network. As he had mentioned, he's really gained a lot of knowledge about how to network effectively, but also his coaching and his background being in the Marines that we've talked about, coupled with his love of networking, his real passion for that. That is a solid foundation for you to tap into as someone who is potentially wanting to build a better business. And so one more time, Edgar, how can they get a hold of you, master the network, and your coaching services?
Yeah, so masterthenetwork.com will be the easiest way to get a hold of me. All my contact info is on there.
Yeah, you guys are the best. And one more time, thanks for sharing your love of business today.
Thanks again.
Thank you, guys.
All right, see you soon. All right, so we are going to take a break. I know we've been having podcast after podcast for a couple of hours, and we're going to take a short break, but we will be back. Again, we've got podcasts in the afternoon, as I had mentioned before, the sports angle. We have the business of giving, Aunt Shirley's survival tips, Hockey Hub, and then I'm going to give a short podcast myself at the end of the day. So stay tuned. We will be back here at prconnectionsradio.com, the voice of new media, for more shows. We're going to take a break, and I hope you are enjoying your New Year's Day. See you soon with more podcasts.